Hello and welcome to the first episode of That Said, I Do Have Some Notes. Now, we talked about this before. So the first episode was not,
It was a pilot.
it was just a pilot. So it wasn't the real episode. So we're gonna go with the first episode, and then we're gonna say what the name of the movie is. But this is your movie, right? So we're also gonna be alternating.
Yeah.
So this is your movie.
Mhm.
What is this movie?
It's You've Got Mail. Love it. With Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. It's one of the greatest movies out there. So earlier we were talking about what exactly a synopsis is. So we're not gonna do.
That was a bad conversation.
Yeah,
Got pretty
we're
heated.
not gonna talk about it. But
This whole thing almost
I'm
fell down
just gonna-
around our ankles.
okay.
Just because.
Okay.
What is a synopsis?
Yeah. So we're not gonna call it that. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what the movie's about.
Mhm.
Titles You've Got Mail.
Mhm.
So it's Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. It was a time when AOL and instant messaging was picking up and people started communicating in that way a little more. And they both started communicating with each other and eventually realized that they were in the book business. Tom Hanks had a super book store business, and Meg Ryan had an independent bookstore. And eventually the story evolves. It's, a classic love story. So we see them both kind of crossing paths a lot, being in the same industry and how they deal with each other, knowing only, maybe one aspect. Like they don't actually know that they are both communicating online with each other for a good amount of the movie. Am I explaining this okay? You think it's good?
Yeah, I think it's good.
he
I think you've gotten through most of it.
Most of the movie.
I think that's.
Yeah. You think that's enough information for now?
Yeah, like I think we could let it.
We'll talk a
We can
little
let
bit
it,
more about it. Yeah, but that's
let's let
pretty
it
much.
simmer.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Let's put it on simmer here. Now let's talk about some of the characters, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, sure. You know what I'm talking? Do you like the characters in this movie?
I do. I love all the characters. It's hard for me to find something I don't like about the movie, but I will say that
we're gonna find it. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's not really there. I had to dig for this because both characters, Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, are in relationships. So I felt like those characters were really interesting, but it probably wasn't the most necessary thing. So it was a little unnecessary, but they did have really interesting characters for their love interests at the time. They were funny.
Can I make a suggestion? Because this is still very dynamic, right? We're still kind of figuring out what the format is.
Yeah.
Can I make it? It's okay. All right.
I guess.
I don't want to have to delete another episode here.
Hold on, let me pause.
Okay.
This.
No pause. We're gonna do this live. We'll do it live.
What are we doing?
So what I'm saying is, I wonder if we can just maybe talk about the movie first, and then kind of talk about the things that you like about the movie. You like the movie. Let's talk about what we like about the movie. Don't get your hand away from the pause button.
I feel like
if
we
you
need
like
to
the
talk
movie,
about this.
You like the movie, and then that said, I do have some notes. That's kind of the cutback. Because it gives us a chance to think about the movie and kind of say, okay, these things all make sense. These are the things that we love. And then be like, that said,
okay.
I do have some notes. All right, so then we'll start off with the characters then. Okay. All right, so the main characters are Tom Cruise as, what is Tom Cruise's name?
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Sorry.
His name is Joe Fox.
This would be a really different movie if Tom Cruise is.
I think that took a turn
Tom Hanks, and then it was Meg Ryan as.
Gosh, what's her name in there? Hold on a second. Hold on, don't tell me. It was Meg Ryan as Kathleen Kelly.
Kathleen Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can we call them just Tom Hanks and?
Yeah, Meg Ryan, just
Meg
for
Ryan,
simplicity. Yeah. We'll do that.
So you said something. You said it was interesting that Meg Ryan was like Goldie Hawn from a different era.
She kind of reminded me of that. Yeah.
I think I see what you're saying. Tom Cruise and Meg Ryan what I find interesting is that they've been in a lot of movies together, and they obviously had a lot of chemistry together, especially playing two people that weren't supposed to know each other. They had this really natural affinity.
Yeah. Yeah, their chemistry was really good. And I actually haven't seen the other movies that they were together in. I know a couple of them, but anyways, they do a great job. They're like perfect.
I've also never seen those movies.
Yeah.
So I just know that they were together.
Yeah.
But I've never watched. What was it, Sleepless in Seattle?
Yeah.
I think that was Joe versus the volcano and Sleepless in Seattle are the other two movies.
People say that Sleepless in Seattle is pretty much the same movie, but I didn't get that. Nah. I couldn't watch the whole thing, so.
It has to be different because I think one thing that makes it so good is that Tom Hanks is almost an antagonist in the film. Because I think, like you said, Tom Hanks is like the big box store or the big bookstore guy, and Meg Ryan is this small shop around the corner.
Yeah.
So it's automatically, it creates this real animosity or this rivalry between the two of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension there because, I mean, not only is the stores are so close too, like the Fox bookstore is opening right across the street. I mean,
yeah, I think that's their design though.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think when that's the whole point, when those three generations of dad, like that's what they do. They put these small bookstores out of business by design. So yeah, it was pretty good because Tom Hanks is not a really good guy in this. At least not initially. He doesn't seem to be a good guy. But you really like this movie for different reasons. You almost have like an emotional reaction to this movie and the lines and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
I guess everybody has emotional reactions, but I was just even in the very beginning, and I wrote this down. I literally put down notes on this. I wrote down convulsed. And I put it next to school supplies. Convulsed school supplies. Because you move.
I love that line. So, I did. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I mean, it's an okay line.
I do. Okay, so do you want me to tell you what it is?
Yeah, tell me.
I hope I can remember it exactly and do it justice. But, so.
Something about school supplies.
Yeah, he's writing. Tom Hanks is writing to Meg Ryan an email or whatever, and he's saying how much he loves New York in the fall. It just makes him want to buy school supplies, and he says if I could, I would send you a bouquet of sharpened pencils if I had your address. And it was just the sweetest thing. I just love it. A bouquet of sharpened pencils.
So do you understand what he means by that?
What do you mean?
What do you get what he means by
school supplies,
by school supplies?
Pencils.
But do you understand that feeling? Because I don't get that.
Oh,
feeling.
I love that feeling. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, you remember when I was younger. Who doesn't like school supply shopping? It was something that brought me tremendous joy. I don't know why, but I just loved it. Everything was new, fresh, clean slate. So it just and fall to me reminds me of new beginnings, like. The school year starting out for kids, everything's kind of going back to normal for people, and it's just so fresh.
So it works as a start for the movie, too.
Yeah, totally.
It's a good opening. It's a very good opening for a movie. I think that's really good. But Tom Hanks, really funny in this, and Meg Ryan, also very funny in this.
Yeah. What did you think about, what do you think about their performance? Like Tom and you thought they were funny, but
yeah, I thought they were funny. You know what? You're right. They were very funny at first. It was just a funny movie. By the end of the movie, you could see real dramatic presence for both of them. So I think those scenes that were at first really fun when they hated each other, as they became more emotionally involved, it actually became pretty wrenching, because like when they're at the coffee shop and she thinks that he's not coming and her feelings are seriously hurt, I think that was a really good scene. You can see it on their faces. they're characters that are very lived in. Or I guess it's good that these aren't 20 somethings. I don't think they're supposed to be 20 somethings in the.
No, I love that too, that they're a little older. I think they found each other in that chat room over 30 maybe, but like one of those.
They
They're
seem like right over 30.
right over 30.
They
Yeah,
just
not
made it
too
over the
much older, like
line.
maybe 31
Meg
or
Ryan.
something.
Tom Hanks. He's
Maybe a
got some
little older.
miles.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah. I don't know.
Like you said, I like that too. I think it was kind of refreshing, especially for that time, right? Like maybe that was a little older to kind of not be married, things like that. Right?
Yes. It was the 90s.
I thought so. I don't know. I feel like the 90s does still feel like the 70s and 60s. It does. I don't know. Maybe that was fine.
Yes. I think it's still fine.
It is.
It was fine then.
But it just reminds me of the time. Like, I don't expect it. I always expect it to be people much younger. I don't know. Go ahead.
No, they were both also in relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of the characters that they were in? So the Meg Ryan was with Greg Kinnear, who was in. He always kind of plays like a smarmy guy, and then the other lady, and I feel like I see her in everything. She was Eli Gold's ex-wife on the Good Wife.
Oh yeah.
But she was somebody too. What did you think about those two people? Just as characters, not as plot devices. Do you think that they?
I think they were great characters.
Me too.
They were funny. They were very true to their character.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no sugarcoating either of them, which was nice.
Yeah, Nora Ephron made this movie, and she gets a lot of flack for like not fully developing characters, or like characters that are very idealistic and stuff. But these guys were really fully formed, I thought. I thought they were really well shaped, and not just so the main characters, Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, obviously they were, but so were those side characters. Like I thought Greg Kinnear was the guy who doesn't like any electronics, and Parker Posey was like really Tom Hanks said some funny line about coffee.
Oh my goodness, I love that.
She makes coffee nervous.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good, and I also liked, like, I thought they were really nice. You could see why all of these people were together at any point in time.
Yeah, like it worked, but
not as well.
It wasn't true love.
Yeah. It wasn't what they really wanted.
Yeah.
Do you think, I thought it was also a really introspective movie because Tom Hanks seemed to be going through Meg Ryan seemed to be going through something in the beginning of the movie, right? She seemed to be going through kind of a crisis where she felt like her life was something that she had just read in a book, but not something that she really wanted. Remember that when they're writing the emails to each other, she says, my life doesn't feel like mine. It feels like something that was written in a book.
Right. And I think that had a lot to do with her mom owning the store before her, and I guess passing away pretty young, it seemed. So, she just took it over and I guess just expected
certain things to fall into place.
Fall into place for her, exactly.
So that was interesting. And so I think that maybe that plays also into her ideas of love and companionship and everything like that, because this guy apparently is supposed to be the right person for her, but he wasn't the right person for her.
All right. Mm-hmm.
And so Tom Hanks, though, also had something to work on, which I thought was also really even-handed.
What was that?
Again.
What was that? I know. We just do these so late. It's like way past bedtime. Don't get me wrong. Like, I do love this movie. But... Go ahead. So, are you saying Tom Hanks?
No, Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is going through something too, where he just thinks that he's becoming the worst version of himself. So I thought that was really good. Both characters had something to work on, right?
Mm-hmm.
She really hadn't gone after the life that she wants, and Tom Hanks is realizing that the life that he thought he wanted is really isn't ending well. And I think Meg Ryan really gets him really good when they're at that coffee shop, and there's like, it's really good lighting, and she says something about how, even though Tom Hanks is going to win, no one will remember Tom Hanks at the end of the day.
Yeah. Because he's just another businessman in a suit.
And it looks like she's like kicking him in the teeth.
Yeah, and he actually looks affected by it, which many times, so there's this thing where she actually feels like she can say what's on her mind only when she's around this guy, Tom Hanks. And when she's around anyone else, she can never say what she really means when she wants to say it. So every time she runs into him, she says something like horrible to him. And this is, I think, that was the first time we saw that he was actually affected by that horrible thing she said. And you can see that she, immediately kind of regret it. And he left. That's how much it affected him. So he just removed himself from the situation. But that was a great scene.
Yeah, she cut him pretty deep.
She did. Yeah. Yeah, it was nice. Sad, because it was that moment that he realized that she, spoiler alert, was actually the person he'd been talking to.
Yeah.
And he liked this woman. He thought, wow, what a connection we have. So, just a lot of emotions.
But he didn't know how to take it. Yeah. So he acted out.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something? Have you ever done that before?
Acted out.
When you just you don't know how to react to a situation, so you act out. I think everyone does that.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it was a really human thing. Did you notice, or one thing that I really appreciated, rather, was the side characters, not just the ones they were in love with, but even her like mother figure and Tom Hanks' friend, like the one black guy in the movie. Dave Chappelle, right? I don't know if Dave Chappelle was just going to auditions or something. I don't know how he got picked up for that, because Dave Chappelle's only been in probably like 3-4 movies.
Yeah.
He hasn't been in many.
He was great in that movie too. He just totally worked. Yeah.
He was the only one that was telling crack jokes.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure.
Probably got away with it. Yeah. Anybody else that would have.
What's going on? Who's writing this? Who's writing this for Dave Chappelle? Who said, Dave Chappelle, you tell the crack jokes?
Didn't it sound like he wrote them himself?
It sounded very natural. I would hope he came up with them. Because if someone else came up with them, I have more notes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that
it's not good.
Yeah.
I
think he did a good job with that.
It's not appropriate.
Yeah.
But I have some questions about Tom Hanks. Like, it seems like he had to kind of go through some things. But overall, when it came to Tom Hanks, do you think that he was only able to say the things that he wanted to say because he was rich and kind of untouchable, right? Like, I wouldn't... Of course he can go into, like, a grocery store and basically sit in front of the cashier and force her to, like, swipe the credit card, right? Because he's, like, a multimillionaire.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
like, that's...
I don't think, but I don't think that was the case for him. I just felt like sometimes when you're in business, like even when Tom Hanks, it was Tom Hanks, his father, and his grandfather, so it's a generational business. They were having a little meeting and they were like just talking about how they were taking out these independent bookstores left and right. Like, I think that's just
who they are.
That's just who they are. And he's been that way for so long, and then he finally met, somebody who,
was good looking.
Was okay.
No.
Good looking, but then also made him realize, what he had become.
It was someone that he had a real connection with.
Yeah, right.
Right, because this person that he admired and someone that he had a real connection with has made him look at himself differently.
Right, and she mattered, so her opinion mattered. Good. So I don't know if it had too much to do with, like, rich entitlement, I guess, was the...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? Because he is rich. They make him very rich. I think it's interesting. They talk about real money in this. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite thing. When people have to pay bills and they talk about how much she has in sales, and they make it pretty clear that she is not rich.
She's not, but she's doing pretty good. Like,
How do you know?
I mean, they both live on the West Side, which is supposed to be the upper class in New York.
Yeah, I guess that's more just an idealistic thing. I don't think they're gonna have her in the projects, right? As Dave Chappelle's joke went.
She's doing okay.
The projects and crack.
Like, oh gosh.
That's all he's talking about.
Yeah, he just had to take it there.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's everything. I really like this movie as well. I thought that
So good.
everybody in the movie was really good, very well acted. One thing, when you watch a romantic comedy, I usually think, all right, I know how it's going to end. But by the middle, when they got to that coffee shop, I wasn't 100% sure. Like, I was like, well, maybe this won't
Yeah.
go the way that I thought it would. You know,
Yeah.
maybe this will have some sort of an additional twist. And it did.
It did. It was a great twist.
So what did you think? What did you think about that twist? How would you define the twist?
It was enchanting. Because
Okay.
they use that word in the movie, right?
You just love
So
this movie.
I do, but I remember the first time I watched it, and I was like, wow, like that was just a love story, you
How old
know?
were you when you first watched this movie?
I don't know, probably maybe 18, 19, 20, like
Okay, so
somewhere
you saw it
around
pretty
there.
late then.
Yeah, I didn't see it when I was like super young or anything, but I just thought it was just such a good twist, and it was just kind of so heartwarming, especially the ending. Again, spoiler alert, if you kind of
They get together.
You did that already.
They get together.
But yeah. So, and then, I'm sorry, did you want to
No,
talk about?
no,
Okay.
no.
So that end scene when they're like, when he calls the dog, because he's got the dog loose, and they were supposed to meet in the park, and she didn't know who this man was, and then Tom Hanks says
I
the
see
name
what
of
you're
his
saying.
dog, calls it out, and then she knows because she remembers the man told her what the dog's name was, and she turns and there's Tom Hanks, and they're in the middle of this beautiful garden
Right.
in the spring, and it's
Okay,
just
let's
so
bring it down.
amazing.
Tea kettles high. No, let's. I mean,
but the emotions just
her face was really
it
really wracked
so good.
with like you said, she was putting everything together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you shouted that out while it was happening.
She's just putting it together. She's like, how could this be? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's amazing. Like, and she's
You two were having a conversation.
yeah, it was great. She so badly wanted to be him, and it was him, and
that was a good line.
Yeah.
That was a good line
Yeah,
because I didn't
we
see
all
it
did.
coming.
We all wanted that. Didn't you want that?
Yeah, but I didn't know that's what she would say, and I think that gave her a little bit of, because one thing that I didn't, or that I was uncomfortable with how they were going to play it, was he always seemed to be like maybe one step ahead of her, right? He knew who she was at every step before she knew who he was. Right. So at first, when they first meet at Fox Books, they first meet at her shop, he knows he's Joe Fox, right? She doesn't know he's Joe Fox. And then later, when he knows that she's his paramour, or whoever's talking, right, on the internet, she doesn't know. She's always kind of in the dark there. But this was one case where when he finally shows up and she says that I was wishing it was you, you can see that she could have made those connections a long time ago, but she really just didn't want to believe that those connections were there, because she wouldn't want to be disappointed.
Right. And, it's also it's a little complicated, right? He did ultimately put her out of business. Is she really going to fall in love with the man? Her mother's bookstore. It's like, oh my goodness, this is the last person I thought I would ever end up with. But I actually have feelings for them, and I just so badly did and didn't want it to be him all at the same time.
I mean, and again, that's one thing that's really good about this Nora Ephron movie, right? Usually there's no real cost to these movies. Like, nothing happens that's bad to any of these people. But she is out of work, right? I think she's writing a book, but who knows how any of that's going to go. Right. We're doing this podcast that no one but my mom is listening to. So, I mean,
we do it for you. We do it
Hazel.
for you. Shout out to Hazel. This is all for you.
Only for Hazel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, but I think it was really good that she was eventually put out of business. It's not good, but at least it shows that there was a cost to it. And it's not perfect. It's a little bit messy. There's a little bit of mess there.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of mess there.
Sometimes there is.
Do you think they could have done a movie with Meg Ryan and Greg Kinnear? Do you think that could have been a movie? Because I thought those two were really funny. Because it seems like they were going to be friends at the end.
It did. I love the way that ended.
Yeah.
Like their ending of relationships with these significants. I mean, theirs specifically was very good. Yeah.
Because the other one we never really saw.
We did. Yeah, it was just like end scene. And then,
Yeah, they were stuck in an elevator.
and then he was
with Jimmy
back on his
Berluti.
boat or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that we got the point, but we didn't see if that was clean or
Yeah.
messy. But Meg Ryan's and what's that guy's name? Greg. Yeah, that was just so clean, and they went out to dinner after getting into a little fight at a movie theater and ending up leaving the movie before even seeing it.
He had one of the best lines.
What did he say?
Do you remember?
Oh,
Somebody was yelling.
That's
Somebody
so
was like,
funny.
somebody shushed him.
In the theater.
They
yeah.
shushed him, and he was like, there's a hot dog dancing on the screen. He's like, you need me to be quiet for a hot dog that's dancing on the screen. Like, it was really good. He was so mad.
It was so funny.
It was really.
He was really mad. But she made it.
At one point, she gets so upset that she stands up, and she's not 100% sure which side she wants to get out on the aisle. So she just kind of looks both ways.
Yeah.
It was really good acting.
Yeah, she did.
I liked
She's
it.
such a great actress. Yeah, all very believable.
She's
acting.
very good. All right.
Yeah.
So now that said, I do have some notes. Now this is the tough part, right? Because I think now you got to think about, you need a real note, like how to make this movie
but it's just so good.
stronger.
That's my note. Stronger, as I kind of mentioned earlier, I really don't have anything. I mean, the significant others was just a bonus, but yeah, I wouldn't change a thing about that movie.
There's got to be a note.
I know. I'm digging. I just don't know. Like I just love it.
All right, I'm going to tell you my note.
Yeah,
My note here.
go ahead.
One big note.
What is that?
Well, besides, I need to figure out who wrote Dave Chappelle's lines. But my one big note is
Dave Chappelle.
the emails in the beginning. They're writing these emails, and they're very whiny emails. You know, they talk about how they hate these people and blah, 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 blah. It was very bad emails. I like the emails later when they're talking about things
Like
that are in their life,
important
right?
things,
Like when they're talking about The Godfather, and I
Mhm.
think those lines are
Those
really
were
funny.
good emails,
But when
yeah.
they're just talking about, and I'm not going to completely step on your line about school supplies, but it was in that vein,
so
it was in that
good.
area. It just felt very superfluous,
Yes.
right?
That's a good word.
It felt superfluous to kind of the direction, but I guess they wanted us to like the characters. But we already like these characters. It's Tom Hanks and it's
I
Meg
know.
Ryan. So they're already
Such great
they're already likable.
actors.
They don't have to keep working.
No,
you know?
they're all set.
So they're pretty good. I think if there was one note, I would want to punch up those emails in the beginning, those back and forth emails. And I would that would be.
I think that's actually a good idea. I mean, I loved all of them, so
Yeah, see, I think
could
you
disagree.
Like them, though. You
I
like
do
those
like them,
emails.
but I wouldn't mind them to be better if you think they could be. They were just more, with more sustenance, kind of like.
It got kicked up a notch when they
Yeah,
were talking
it
about
did
The
later.
Godfather, about
Yeah.
movies. You
Those were
could
really
kind of see
interesting.
what you were missing.
Yeah.
Would you have wanted more information? I know that I told you earlier that it was originally like a sequel. It seems like it was maybe a sequel or hinting at like Shop Around the Corner,
Yeah, you did.
the
You
old
mentioned that.
the old version or the old
Mhm.
version of
Oh,
the
that's
same
interesting.
story.
Yeah, yeah.
But do you think they should have done more with that? Or do you think that was enough of a hint?
I think
No?
that was enough.
I would actually agree with that. So you have no notes on this movie.
I mean, that was my note about like the significant other.
Yeah, just that you think it was
Yeah,
unnecessary
like people
too.
don't always, have to be in a relationship and have to
Yeah.
get out of one to end up with, somebody they want to
wait,
be
what?
with.
People don't have to get out of one?
Yeah, that's what they did. They conveniently each got out of a relationship before
Okay.
they got together, and I just don't think that that's
Oh.
always,
That's a good point.
it's all perfectly laid out that way all the time. Like,
Because neither of them became
weren't
the
happy.
bad guy in that relationship.
that too. Yeah, it was kind of just
Kind of neat. That was a little
super neat.
Yeah. Okay.
So that wasn't really.
I can see that.
But the characters were great. Again, just unnecessary. I
Did
think.
you like the weird thing with like how his brother is like 3 years old and his aunt is like 8
Oh, I
years
thought
old?
that was
You're a
great.
big fan?
I needed that explanation when I first watched it.
Yeah.
Like the grandfather had a child. It obviously is up in age, and she was 4, or she was like, how old was she? She was like 8 or something, and then
Whatever, papers? I don't
Tom
know.
Hanks' father had a child. That was funny. And he was 4 years old. So Tom Hanks' father's son was his brother, and then the girl was actually his aunt because it was his grandfather's
You got it.
daughter.
You're dead
so
on.
I know that was probably a little, but you get it. It was just like kind of like a cute little thing where he was taking two of the kids to the shop around the corner, and Meg Ryan at the time was like, "Oh, are these your kids?" And he's like, "Actually, no, that's my aunt and that's my brother." And it was just
she
weird.
thought he was joking.
Yeah. And yeah, so it was just cute. It was cute.
So his dad had another boat called Fox 2. Do you think that there was a Fox 1 that's like a...
Oh, that'd be funny.
A massive
Yeah, that was
liner?
for the grandfather.
Would you want to see a sequel to this movie where they're like,
Absolutely not.
no sequel?
No way.
What if Dave Chappelle came back?
It doesn't
And
matter.
old Tom Hanks.
I don't care if they all came back.
And
I don't
Meg
care.
Ryan.
Leave it
'Cause
alone.
now Steve Zahn also is like a pretty popular actor too now. And Parker Posey has always been pretty. Parker Posey is the name of the other significant other.
Oh, okay.
Eli Gold's
Oh,
wife.
okay. Yeah, I didn't know her. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'd like them all, but I don't need to see them all again in this sequel.
I think
Definitely
you could.
not.
Instagram.
No thanks.
Sliding into DMs.
Absolutely. Oh gosh. Modern day.
A modern version.
We don't need that.
That was the only thing that Tom Hanks was different from his dad and his granddad.
He was changing it up.
Yeah, because he was married, or he was looking at someone that was the same age as him.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like the other gentleman had people that were significantly younger. So Tom Hanks, but maybe he was on that path.
Yeah.
So eventually he would end up in that relationship.
Yeah, he had that moment of clarity.
So would you watch this movie again?
Definitely have watched it over and over again for the last 100 years. So
yeah, the first time we watched this was on
it.
Was on a bus,
Yeah.
A bus to Bethel.
It's awesome.
A bus to Canada, right? Canada Bethel.
Mm-hmm. I think that was it. Yep.
We were right next to the bathroom. And you enjoyed it.
Story
you still
for
enjoyed
another
the movie.
time.
No, we're never going to tell the rest of that story. That's it. That's all you get. Next to the bathroom.
Nothing too much.
Canada Bethel. That's all we had.
That just gave me flashbacks.
All right.
Yeah, anyways,
so
the movie
you
was
would watch
awesome.
you would watch this movie.
Would you watch this again?
I would. I think
Boy.
I rent movies as far as like, or I think about movies in terms of, would I watch this again in theaters? Would I watch it again on TV? Would I buy the movie? I don't think it's a buy movie because...
What?
Nah. Because the reason that it's not a buy, everyone has already seen it. And it's good. It's a unique romantic comedy, but it's not that great.
Oh, it's
you know what would be good
fantastic.
for? It would be good if they ever did like 20 years later, 30 years later movie. I guess now it would be 30 years later movie on this in theaters. Then I would probably go into the theaters and see it. Or if it's on TV, I would watch it. But I probably wouldn't buy it.
I think this is the type of movie, like you said, yeah, maybe everybody's seen it, but you buy it for yourself. It's so good. You know, I could just watch this all day.
Okay.
On repeat.
All right.
It's
Well,
great.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. But all right. So good job. That said, I do have some notes.
Yeah.
You had one note.
I did.
So I'm glad we got
I thought
there.
that was a pretty good
You
note.
made it.
Yeah.
All right. This is That Said, I Do Have Some Notes. I think we're right at 30 minutes.
Yeah, maybe a little over too.
All right. So we're gonna need
Yeah.
people to So we're gonna need to hear some feedback over whether or not this is too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Too much of the talk.
Let us know.
Or just enough.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
That said, I do have some notes. You have my email, Mom, so if you want to ask any questions,
I know.
feel free.
You know, yep. You
Feel
know where to
free.
find us.
Any suggestions? All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.